For a quarter of a century, she's headed up the worldwide volunteer force, Mission Possible World Health International. They are committed to removing aspartame from our food supply. She has a Doctor of Humanities degree for the work she's done on this front. 22 years of experience in medicine. Dr. Betty Martini. Betty, how are you?
Just great, Richie. Glad to be back.
Well, basically, state authorities there looking at classifying aspartame as a carcinogen. This sounds like amazing news, Betty. What's happening?
Well, interestingly, I had filed a petition to ban, and the National Law Review had published it, and I think that Proposition 65 had realized from information that I had given them some years ago that it really is a carcinogen, and they decided to have a meeting in November. And of course, the thing of it is that we have all the evidence. We have the FDA actually confessing to Congress, Dr. Adrian Groves, that it violated the Delaney Amendment because it caused cancer, and they shouldn't have been able to set an allowable daily intake. And his last words were, and if the FDA violates its own law, who's left to protect the public? So here we had the top FDA scientists actually exposing his own FDA on the fact that, it was on the market, never proven safe. Now, last time I worked with Proposition 65, they never got my package of studies. The woman I was working with said she never got my emails. I had put it on the aspartame resource guide because it explained how aspartame got on the market, and she saw it because it just got out on the internet. So now they've decided to go through this again, and we even have a human study now that shows that aspartame causes lymphoma and leukemia, and we've always known this, and the rat studies have shown it, and Dr. Safredi did 3 studies showing aspartame's a multi-potential carcinogen.
Imagine.
And if this wasn't almost criminal, it would be funny. But Harvard did one and bragged, we have the longest and the strongest on aspartame causing cancer. And as soon as they said that, they apologized and said we shouldn't have published this. And that shows you how quick industry got to them. And since I put this out, they've now hacked the website. But people from the UK can write letters as well. And on my website, which is www.mpwhi.com, you'll see All Eyes on Aspartame. It tells you where you can write, where you can email. And, I'm hoping that thousands and thousands of letters will get to them. And we have people now going to the meeting that are in California.
You can't overstate, Betty, how serious this is. Now, if anybody wants to go to YouTube, you'll find a million interviews with Betty over the years, including some on this program, where she explains how aspartame eventually found its way into our food supply, and the corruption and the sleaze and the filth. G.K. Searle, look it up. Donald Rumsfeld, look it all up. Betty's been talking about this for years. But Betty, just without going over all that again, let's not assume knowledge. Remind our listeners what exactly aspartame is, and remind them how widespread it is in our food supply.
Well, if you had to explain aspartame, it's an addictive, excito-neurotoxic, carcinogenic, genetically engineered drug, heterogeneous, and adjuvant, and it damages the mitochondria, are the powerhouse of the cell, and interacts with your drugs and vaccines. Now, consider here in the United States, they want to put a new line on the death certificate because they don't understand what's killing so many people. And the Dr. Alemany, who did the Traco study in Barcelona, told me aspartame would kill 200 million people. And the reason it's so poisonous, it's made up of all poisons. You've got aspartic acid, which is an excitotoxin, a product that stimulates neurons of the brain to death, causing brain damage. Dr. Russell Blaylock wrote Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills, about it. And then you've got methyl ester, which immediately becomes free methyl alcohol, and as a Krakow study showed, converts to formaldehyde and embalms living tissue and damages DNA. You can destroy humanity. Then you've got 50% of phenylalanine. That's why there's a PKU warning on it for phenylketonuria. They can't metabolize it. And when they start talking about the building blocks of life, understand that phenylalanine in milk or meat might be 4%, not 50%. So it goes beyond the blood-brain barrier and causes all kinds of problems. And then the molecule breaks down to diketopiperazine, a brain tumor agent. And if it's such a poison, it was listed with the Pentagon in an inventory of prospective biochemical warfare weapons submitted to Congress. And you can Google that or go to my website in The Ecologist, the 2005 issue, which starts out by telling you that. And one of the most heinous crimes of the FDA is they made a deal with G.D. Searle never to allow anyone to see the teratology studies, and that's the birth defect studies. And it wasn't until I talked to Jerome Bressler, who did the famous Bressler report, and he didn't know me from Adam. He just said, 20%'s missing. Didn't you understand? And I said, well, yes, I did see something missing. He said, people are drinking this stuff. They're pregnant. You've got to find them. And it took me 8 years to find them. And they showed that aspartame causes neural tube defects, spina bifida, cleft palate. And finally, when I added them back to the Bressler report and took them to Jerome Bressler, who's in Chicago, then the FDA released them to Dr. Monty, who wrote the book, While Science Sleeps, A Sweetener Kills, one of the most incredible books that you'll read. And he explains, how it turns the tissues to plastic. He tells you how they destroyed his home, that it blew up with him in it, and he just survived, trying to get this information out. And he's, taking it all the way to the Supreme Court. But I was told that they got to the judge. The FDA at that time in 1986 was going to take it off the market because it blinds and causes seizures. So you have to consider, I just realized I'd been doing this for 26 years, and that people, we do it, and we do it free because it's not just something bad for you. People are lied to, and they don't know how poisonous it is.
Dr. Betty Martini is on. This is vital stuff for anybody who has children, and you're giving them diet drinks. In the UK, Betty, they call them pop drinks. They're called soda drinks, of course, in the United States. If you're giving your children this stuff, you at the very least need to listen to Betty Martini and others and read what it is that they've been researching for 25 years. We're talking about the artificial sweetener aspartame, which is known as NutraSweet or equal spoonful or equal measure, discovered back in 1965 when anti-ulcer treatments were being researched by a guy called James Schlatter. Betty, over the years, and people like Betty, have provided an abundance of evidence that there have been cover-ups